So what to do when you order a model locomotive or wagon online, it arrives from Royal Mail or DPD or however, you open the box and it's in bits and pieces, smashed all over the place with bits hanging off and bits missing, and it's just an absolute nightmare, and you think, well, what have I done? Can you come back from that? Is there a way to fix it? Yes, there is, and we're going to have a look at that later on in this video. We're also checking out which locomotive you guys told me to buy, which one won. Find out in a minute. Let's crack on, shall we? So last week, as I'm sure you all remember, I asked you loyal viewers to decide which locomotive I was going to get next. Batman 280 ROD or the Oxford Rail J27. And now the interesting thing is that when I made the video, I was very specific in this. I said you need to email me the choice you're going to make. Email me. Most of you left your choice in the comments. So the results actually were quite interesting, because when you look at the email votes, it was the J27 that actually won. But when you combine the comments votes and the email votes together, you actually find that the J27 still won by an alarmingly massive margin. So, bye-bye Bachman, that was plain. So the J27 has now joined the fleet. I got it from Ellis Clark Trains as well. Funny story behind that. Let's have a look at that, shall we? So I'm here at Ellis Clark Trains in Skipton, and you know how I asked you all which locomotive I should buy next, the ROD 260 or the Oxford Rail J27? Well, I was passing just purely on spec, and they happened to have a J27. There you are. Ellis Clark Trains in Skipton. Give them a shot, guys. Fantastic. Very big thanks to Dave and Hannah for your help this morning. Cheers, guys. So yeah, very impressed with things at Ellis Clark Trains, to be brutally honest with you. It's a little bit off the beaten track in terms of where you find it. But as you can see, the showroom is full of trains of all sizes and gauges. Obviously O gauge is their main thing, but you can just see there on the left hand side, the amount of 00 stuff they have is fantastic. They even have a lot of Vitrain stuff as well, and loads of Hornby as well, loads of affordable locomotives, things that so much stock that hasn't been listed on eBay yet. So it's always worth having a look if you're in the area, passing, nip your head in, have a look. Had I not done that, I would have still been searching for that J27 now, or I would have probably paid over the odds for it and gone elsewhere. It just goes to show that the local shops still have a place. Oh yeah, crazy. I mean, I wasn't even going to go to Ellis Clark Trains. I just happened to be in Skipton picking up some pies for DCC Concepts, because I was going there to see some bits and pieces. And I thought, well, do you know what, I'm here, I'll go to Ellis Clark Trains. Popped in, and I just happened to speak to Anna and say, you don't by chance have an Oxford Rail J27, do you? She said, no, I don't think we do. We don't get a lot of Oxford Rail stuff in, but I'll have a look for you in case there's something in the processing pile. Anyway, she goes away and comes back 5 minutes later with the J27, so properly happy with that, and yeah, it even had a decoder in it, so fantastic. We'll have another look at the J27 a bit later on. But now let's move on and take a look at what happens when you mail order something and it arrives in bits. What do you do? So I was on Facebook the other night, browsing through the groups and things as you do, and I saw a loco come up for sale. Now, normally I don't buy steam engines, as you all know, but this was like 40 quid. And I couldn't resist it, and the person that was selling it was sort of well known to me. So there was very little risk in buying it. So I did that, spent 40 quid. And I bought this. That's right, I got myself a little BR4 Standard. I love the little steam locomotive. Perfect for my layout because it's not hugely massive, but it was advertised as having missing a buffer from the tender, one buffer missing, which it is, and the body housing for the tender has been modified to fit a speaker, so there's no coal on the top, and the housing itself doesn't fix to the chassis, which isn't a major issue. However, when it arrived, the front buffers were snapped off in the box. Again, Royal Mail, you know, and the chimney has also snapped off. I couldn't see any other bits and pieces in the box that have come off. There's a few little bits of plastic, so I'm assuming something else has met its hand at the Royal Mail Reaper as well. So what I'm going to do is whip it over here and have a look at it. It seems to run pretty well. I have got to stay alive on that decoder, but it does seem to run pretty well. What I think she needs first and foremost though is, obviously we need to fit those buffers back on there, and we need to get the chimney sorted out, but we ain't frightened of a little bit of a do-up project. First things first is I need to give it a bit of a clean, just so I know that I'm working with a nice blank slate. It's had some sort of weathering done to it as well. I'm not sure if that's Hornby or if the previous owner's done a little bit to it. It's not a bad job, it's okay. Things have been matted down a little bit. There's a little bit of dust on the cab door, a little bit of dust on the frame bogies and what have you. But I'm going to make it nice and dirty eventually. But for the first things first, I need to get it running properly. So we need to clean the wheels. So for that, we're going to use the rolling road, and I'll show you how I do that. So with the rolling road going, I've got a little bit of IPA on a cotton bud, and I'm just going to gently let the wheel do the work for me. You can see there that there's some dirt coming off it already. Yeah. Do a bit on that one there. Yeah, you can see there's some muck on there. So I'm going to do that with this, all 6 wheels. Clean the tender pickups as well. And once I've done that, I know that we're running with a clean rolling, what's the word I'm looking for? Clean rolling chassis. That's why a rolling road is so important, guys. Really worth, honestly, they're worth the weight in gold of these things. Brilliant. There we go. So 3.5 cotton buds later on. That thing is now just running at an absolute crawl. That's speed step 4. Speed step 1. Look at that. That is lovely. No stuttering, no stalling. So that's going to finish running in, and then we can have a look at repairing the damage caused by Royal Mail. Right, that's enough running in. I'm happy with that. Let's get it off the bench over to the other bench and see if we can't refix those buffers and that chimney. So here we go. Got a little bit of super glue here, and I'm not just going to start blasting super glue away, but if you look at the front there, we can see where the buffers have come undone from. See, big hole there, big hole there. So I'm going to refit these first. Got 2 of them. They actually work okay, and they're still slightly sprung as well, so we must be careful with that. I'm just going to gently pick it up and have a quick look up. So there's a little recess for him to sit in, so I think if I turn this loco upside down, that might give us a better position to do it in, possibly. Going to decant the super glue, by the way. It's not going straight on from the nozzle. That's the worst thing you can do. Just find yourself a little surface, anything will do. In fact, the top of this paint will do. That'll do. Just get a bit of super glue on that. I'm going to take some pizzazz, and I'm just going to put it on its belly. Just gently, just carefully. I'm going to use that knife to stabilise the loco so it don't go rolling away. I'm just going to gently move the pony truck to one side so it's not in the way again. Take one of the buffers, just dip it in a little bit of the super glue, or even better, a little bit of cotton bud. Rub that on it, like that. There you are. So super glue's applied. Once they were in place, I actually did just put, because I didn't notice that the running board had been damaged, I did put just a little tiny bit of glue on there, and they seem to be about right. So I'm going to let that go off and dry properly. Seems to be about right, and then when the locals are written around, I'm going to pop the tuner back on. There we go. That looks about right. I think the buffers are straight enough. They still spring. Not that matters entirely, but there we are. So they're about right now. They're about in place. The dart on the smoke box is okay. Handrails are all okay. Good. So the chimney, quite simple. We're just going to dry fit it first. That seems about right. There we go. It pops back in place. So all I'm going to do is just gently put a small, tiny piece. See, some little locating pins on there, if you can just see them. One there, one there. I'm just going to put a dab of super glue, just a little bit. That's it, on each side. And I'm just going to run it round the rim. That's it. We're just going to run it home. There we are. Hold it in place for a second, let it bite. And that should be good enough. So all the repairs that needed to be done because of Royal Mail have been done. So we'll let that dry properly overnight, and then later on we're going to look at the tender, because that needs putting back on because the tender doesn't fix to the body. But again, that's not a problem. It just sort of clips on. But for now, I'm going to leave it there because I do intend to sound fit this model, and I'm going to have to order a speaker for it and things first. But I'm a bit skint at a minute, so it might have to wait. But once I'm happy with the internals of the tender, and I've got the speaker in place and the stay alive and the recorder and everything else, then I can put a coil load in the tender as well, and then basically just seal it with a little bit of, again, a tiny bit of super glue just to stop it from falling off. But if I do want to take the tender body off again, there's no two ways about it. I am going to have to just gently snap it free, otherwise it ain't going to work. I also need another buffer for the rear of the tender, so if anyone knows where I can get a cheap buffer, and I do mean cheap, I don't want to be spending 40 quid on a little buffer, that'd be fantastic. I actually found the spare buffer in my kit bits. Now it's not perfect. I'm going to paint the back of it red, and considering the loco is going to run this side facing the public anyway, that's going to be towards the back, so it's going to be quite difficult to see it anyway. I think that'll work. That works, doesn't it? Yeah, that'll do. So here we are then, as promised. This is a little bit of running footage of the new Oxford Royal J27 I picked up. Now as you can see, initially it seems to run smoothly and nicely. However, it doesn't have a stay alive, it is an 060, and it does seem to have problems with picking up power from the track, despite the fact I've cleaned the back-to-backs and the connectors and all the rest of it, and it still misbehaves on point work and what have you, despite the fact the points are electro-frog. Every now and again it does stall, so it's a little bit disappointing, but 80% of the time to 90% of the time it runs perfect. Like for example the three-way point there that it's just traversed, it works fine on that. So I'm pretty happy with it. For the price I paid for it, it's certainly going to be a nice little favourite in the fleet. going forward. I think the next modifications to that and the BR Standard 4 you can see on the left hand side there, we're going to be sound fitting them, I think. And as soon as the funds become available, I'm going to go out and get some sound decoders, get them fitted to the locos, show you how to do that, because there's not a lot of space in these, but certainly doable anyway. But getting the stay alive in there will really take away the frustration of having to keep poking it over the slight dead spots. But that's all to come in future episodes. You'll see in a minute as well, as it goes over this double slip, it's fine, but when it joins a section of track in the sidings, that section of rail, for whatever reason, always seems to cause problems, despite the fact it's clean and has connectivity. The loco just doesn't seem to like it and it stalls. I think it's got something to do with the fact that it's an 060 and that bit of track is slightly warped because of all the heat we had recently. But other than that, I'm happy with it. And filming this little segment made me really want to start doing live running sessions again. And that's all for this week's episode, boys and girls. I hope you enjoyed it and found it entertaining and all that other stuff. Please do remember give Alice Clark Trains a try. I was really surprised that they had it in. It's like a little treasure trove in that shop, as you can see from the footage from before. Loads of stuff hidden away. Even if you're on double O gauge as well, there are things in there that I never thought I would find at an O gauge retailer. Just bear in mind that it's a little bit off the road and it looks like there isn't a shop there, but there actually is, and they do have parking as well, so bear that in mind. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all the other jars. Then I'll see you all next week. Thanks very much. See you soon. Bye bye. Speaking of DCC concepts, when I went up there, they gifted me this lovely little thing. And if I can open it with one hand, it's actually a lovely little thank you box. Now I'm pretty sure this isn't just meant for me, but they've given me what appears to be the most robust handheld torch in the known universe. And it even comes to 2 batteries as well, so thanks very much DCC Concepts.